Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Red Valkyrie Presents. I'm, of course, Shae the Red, with my camera hidden, which means you know we're going to do a cosplay reveal in a moment. But before we get to that... Huh? What?
I said bwahaha.
Bwaha... Oh, my gosh. Very good, Cy. Very good. Before we get to that, y'all know my co-host, Cy. How are you doing today?
Awesome.
Oh, my gosh. Why? Why are you doing ASMR? What is happening in this world? And we, of course, have the awesome creator, Brian from Dojo Kun Comics. How are you doing, sir?
Now I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. I love it. It's like, I'm talking and they don't seem to be responding. Oh, wait, mute. Yep. So we have Brian on for Tōrō Tales. And before we get to the campaign, we have a...
That's not... Yeah.
This one. we have a cosplay to reveal, and I hope I didn't build it up too much because
you built it up.
I know. I'm sorry. Look, this wig is rough, so just bear with me. It's like literally in my eye too. It's great. But 3, 2, 1, and bam,
Sakura.
Yes, it gave me an excuse to get a pretty kimono. I'm like, Lisa, I like it.
She's got the shoulder pads and everything. I like it.
Yeah, I don't have the bottom parts because time. But we got the shoulders. It's not. Look, I feel like I could have done better.
It's okay. It's good.
She almost popped a boob out trying to tie the kimono, but
well, that would be entertaining, I'm sure.
I'm sure a lot of you would be very entertained. Terrible. Okay, so we are here for your campaign, Toro Tales, issue 1.
Right, and
exciting.
I want to talk about the name right off the bat.
Okay,
a lot of folks say Toro, and sometimes for sake of ease, I do too. But Toro is Spanish for bull. What this is Tōrō, which is the stone lantern that you'll see in my company's logo.
Ooh. Not going to lie. It's still going to be pronounced Toro because the like I can't. I don't even know what letters you just said.
Not going to lie, I scrolled through this entire campaign looking for a bull.
So I was like, well, this is false advertising. I see no bull.
Fuck.
So we're going to get a liar on the show now.
Yeah, there we go. All right, say it one more time. We're going to see if I can try. Tōrō. Yeah,
you got it.
Okay. Yeah. Tōrō.
I mean, it may not be with the perfect Japanese inflection, but me either. So.
Look, you're lucky I didn't. We're lucky I got something close. Okay, so did you want us to show your trailer?
Oh, yes, please do.
Okay. Nothing copyright, right?
Nope.
Okay.
In fact, well, okay.
In fact.
At the bottom of the campaign, when you use these non-copyrighted pieces of music, they ask that when you do, you put the name of the artist and all that at the bottom. So we can scroll down later and I can show you who the artist is.
I see it.
Perfect. All right.
The Tōrō Tales trade paperback brings together the inaugural chapters of some of Dojo Kun Comics' greatest characters. Characters like Sakura, Bach 42, Sovereign, Lone Shark, Sparrow, Night Mist, the Scarlet Archer, the Canadian Shield, and Halia and Andi, aka H2O. Featuring art by 5 different writers, 9 artists, 7 colorists, and 5 letterers, this graphic novel will be 88 pages of superhero excitement. We've been publishing comics for 6 years now and successfully crowdfunded and fulfilled Siamese. The first 100 backers receive a free BD buddy of Canadian Shield. Back with confidence and back us. Only on Indiegogo.
Wow. I've never seen a BD buddy before.
Really? Yeah, I hadn't either. Nope. I was at a craft show with my wife, Deanna, and she was looking at quilts and baskets and things, and I was bored out of my mind. So I was walking around trying to find something else, and found somebody who had made a bunch of the big two characters, Batman, Captain America, etc., out of these little beads.
Oh.
And as you can see, most of them had this clip. So if you partake and you want the clip on it, let me know. But anyway, yeah, I said, would you be able to do this with one of my own IPs? And he was like, yeah, sure. What have you got in mind? So we talked, and the first 100 people who back the physical tier on this campaign will get one of those. And a third of them are gone already. So looking forward to getting 100 of them gone, really.
You're close to almost half gone. You're definitely progressing. Like Warren said, he said, wow, this looks like a good value.
I agree, and I'm glad you think so. Yeah, this 88 pages, full color, and also, too, you can back with confidence because it's done. So there's no artwork or lettering or coloring to be done. It's done. It's ready to go.
So here's my question. So you've got a bunch of different writers, a bunch of different artists that are in on this. So is this more like an anthology? It's more of a collection of stories?
Right, exactly. It is an anthology. It has 9 stories in it. And in fact, a few of the characters from Siamese will make a cameo in this one as well.
Oh, very cool.
Now, this cover, the cover that you're showing right there by Eric Ninotowski, who did Shadow Sentry, that is a penciled version that had been watercolored. So this isn't the final version of the cover. And I'll be honest with you, I like it enough that I think I'm going to make this a print as well.
Very cool.
It pays homage. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go. What were you going to say?
Okay. That cover there pays homage to a variant cover for Amazing Spider-Man 297. And the reason I selected it, it had the Avengers West Coast on it. And what's cool about it is that there was 10 characters featured. So it fit perfectly with the 10 characters I'm having debut in this book. Awesome.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the stories that we're going to be getting in this?
Okay. In fact, that'd be a great segue to scroll down to some of the sample art as well. So BOT 42, that stands for Biometric Organ Transplant. And the BOT 42 program was created to, as it sounds, transport organs across town because ambulances sometimes get stuck in traffic, even though everyone's supposed to move. There's a lot of obstacles. Well, one of these transplant units can leap over traffic, run through the woods in case there's a shortcut that they can take. And the idea is that they can get the organs there much faster, which is, imperative. So the woman who created this program calls her husband and says, hey, you want to come celebrate with us? They're having a congratulatory party for me. And he races over there, and she's looking out the window for him and sees him get into a horrific car accident. So she and her colleagues rush down to save him and find the only way they can save him is to transplant his brain into one of her bot units.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. Then we have Sakura.
Sakura is a millionaire who inherited her company from her father, and the board of directors are not happy with her because, well, they're old school Asian men who they're not really progressive and don't like the idea that she's running the company. So there's that, and then there's an attack by a mythological beast called a Tengu. And
the Tengu.
How that's connected, you'd have to read to find out.
Oh. Look at the mystery and intrigue.
I know, right?
All right. Loan Shark. Ew.
Loan Shark is probably our homage to like Namor, but he starts out arrogant and aloof like Namor does, but then his attitude changes as the story progresses. Okay.
I say ooh because I don't like deep water and I don't like sharks. So I don't think I'm going to like him much.
You might not.
No, I don't think
we're
so.
Going to replay Coder, Knights of the Old Republic, and stream the part where you have to do the underwater portion.
That's almost every single game, almost every adventure game that I have ever played. The second we get to an underwater level where you have to be underwater and you're fighting these big, that's usually when I stop playing the game.
Oh, okay.
That it's an extreme phobia.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll get to a point and I'll just be like, and I'm fun. I guess, this was a really good game up to this point, and I'm glad that I got to play it. And everyone's like, oh yeah, did you get to it? Like, no, because I had to get through this part, and I couldn't, because someone else is going to have to play it.
You got to get your 10-year-old nephew or niece or somebody to play that section for you.
Oh, my all my nieces and nephews are like grown and have their own kids, so I don't have any 10-year-olds around me, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd just be like, you like sharks, right? Like, can you just beat this level for me? Like, oh, you can't beat it, so I'd be like, sure, it's too difficult for this old lady. just beat the level. Shut up. All right, so then we have Sovereign.
Now, Sovereign, I'd like to see who you can... I think that this artist, who, by the way, is named Aaron Kearney from the UK, who does his style remind you of? No?
I don't pay attention to who does what. I look at stuff and go, oh, I like it, and then I'm like, oh, I've seen this name 4 or 5 times. I never pay attention to like artists and writers and stuff much.
That's fair. So I thought that his art was very reminiscent of Mobius, and because I thought so, I reached out to my colorist and said, could you emulate the style, the color palette of Mobius as well? And she was confident that she could, and I think she did a great job. So I'm very happy with that. Now, unfortunately, her and her husband, I can't have them work for me for a while now because PayPal shut down any payments into Russia.
Yeah.
I believe it.
It's an interesting rubber band effect that we have going on with all of that we are not going to comment on because...
yeah, that could be quite a long discussion.
Well, it can also be quite a channel-destroying discussion.
Oh, well, we don't want that.
No. Okay, so... That's a couple of the stories that you got. So you also had these, like, mermaid characters.
Yes, Halia and Undine. They're named after water goddesses, and because their names start with H and O, they decided because they're a duo, they'd be H2O.
Okay. They seem rather interesting. I'm curious to see kind of what happens with them.
In addition to being able to shapeshift into their mermaid form, they can also shapeshift into their mutant form, though, and retain their legs. So they've got like 3 different forms.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, Warren says this looks like a classic. That's pretty cool. And unfortunately, a lot of artists are facing that kind of issue. It's unfortunate, and hopefully all of this stuff can resolve quickly.
Yes.
You also have a cool character that looks kind of like Falcon or oh my gosh, I can't remember her name.
Deathstrike or Deathbird.
Maybe
from
there was
X-Men?
No, possibly. I never got into the X-Men. Like I tried. There were so many of them, and I was just like, there's so many, and most of them are handled like angsty teenagers, and I didn't like angsty teenagers when I was one. So, but yeah,
Marvel confirmed.
I don't hate Marvel.
I hate Marvel.
I just don't like Marvel. Hate requires too much energy.
Hate requires effort.
Yes.
Well, there was a character in the Teen Titans then, if you want to go DC, her name was Cole, Kole, and she had wings like that as well.
Yeah, I was thinking of, who's the one that keeps getting torn away from her lover? And then they find each other, and every time they find each other, then they end up dying. Yeah, thank you, Hot Girl. That's what it was kind of
her wings are more wings.
No, I know, but what I was getting at was the like kind of the way that a lot of the face part goes. Yeah, like it's
okay.
But see, that's the good thing is we just sat here and we named off how many different characters that this kind of resembles a little bit of, which is actually kind of a good thing when you're creating a new superhero, is because if it's something that feels a little bit more accessible or something that feels like it's been, it could easily fit into a couple of those IPs, then it really makes you feel like it has some staying power, The
character has some familiarity, yeah. And
exactly.
So long as you're able to take some familiarity and make it your own, then it doesn't hurt that there's some resemblance, because I don't think you could escape finding any kind of character that resembles something that's been done before when you've got like more than 80 or 90 years of comic books. Chances are there's going to be somebody similar in the past.
Oh,
yeah.
Superman's about to turn 85, I think, soon.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we've got your guy who's also a little bead buddy, the Canadian Shield. Right. We're gonna sit on this picture of him because I think it's awesome. So tell us a little bit about him.
Canadian Shield is one of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the RCMP had created a suit of armor, a lot like Iron Man's, perhaps like War Machine's, and they did a test of a lot of the RCMP to find somebody who was eligible to serve as their Canadian Shield. And Draymond Autry won that by succeeding the best in the test. So he dons the armor and then comes down to the United States to represent Canada in the superhero team, which will eventually form.
Nice. I like that he's like, I'm from Canada. You can tell because there's this maple leaf right here. That's how you know. It's like, yep, that is very Canadian. I hope he's very polite.
He's very polite. He's very kind. He's very considerate.
Does
he help him like
litter?
He says sorry when you bump into him. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was standing there in your way."
He does not say sorry. He says sorry.
Sorry.
I'm so
boot. Sorry.
Sorry, boot that.
Sorry, boot it. Oh, you okay there? Oh, jeez.
Would you like some syrupy?
Oh, Canada, we love you.
Okay.
Said, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
This is terrible. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we are going to go over. Ooh, pretty. So we're gonna go over your tiers in a second. I'm just kind of scrolling through and seeing what else is there. I like this take on Sakura. I think it's very very cool, very nice looking.
Yeah, this is by the Art of Puro, a married couple in Italy. So the husband does the line art, he's Andreas, and Monica, his wife, does the coloring.
Wow. Yeah, they definitely seem like they work well together.
Indeed.
Okay, so let's look at some of your add-ons and then we'll go up into your tiers.
Okay. So the chibi stickers here are by Alex Thomas. I found him on Etsy, and he did the stickers for the Siamese campaign as well. One of the great things with working with Alex is if, for example, you ask for a chibi of Sakura, he'll give you 6 different versions, and you get to pick which one you think will work the best for your campaign, and then he finalizes it for you. So, wow. I mean, and they all look great. I have to be honest, it's really hard to pick which one I think is the best of the 6. Once in a while, it's easy. Yeah, I don't like the look on this one, but there's almost always at least 4 where I've really got to struggle over which one it's going to be.
Yeah, these are really cute. I like the style that he went with. I love Canadian Shield as a chibi because he just looks so valiant, and it just seems like you just look at him and you go, yeah, you know what, buddy, you get it. Like, you, good job.
He's got those stubby little legs.
Yes, it's the stubby legs and him holding up this hammer like, I am so amazing. Look at my hammer. You're like, oh, good job. Just a patch on the head.
Exactly. I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here we can kind of see some of the other characters. So we didn't talk about Night Mist, and we didn't talk a lot about Sparrow. So do you want to go into details about any of them?
Sure. Yeah. Sparrow is a major kleptomaniac. She's very wealthy, but she steals just little knickknacks and things that she can get away with stealing. But now she's super bored, right? Because she hasn't been caught. She never has, and she shouts out to whoever will listen in the universe that, I need a challenge, and a genie basically hears her and grants her some powers to make her uncatchable. So now she has the challenge she needs. She's going to go after much larger targets.
Interesting.
And then Night Mist is she can change like a vampire does. She can change into mist and then infiltrate buildings and etc. So her specialty is espionage. Her sister is also in this. She plays a very big part, and she's known as Ballast. And why she's known as Ballast, you'll have to read the story to find out.
Okay, interesting. I was gonna say, I feel like for Sparrow, Wouldn't it be more of a challenge to not have powers to make you uncatchable? Just saying.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but the people she's deciding to steal from after getting the powers ramps up the challenge quite a bit.
Okay. All right. So we're going to call it a baby step. And then, you'll have to there'll have to be some kind of a story where she loses her powers and still manages to steal from them. Be like, okay, now that's a real challenge.
And then there's one story that's not represented by a character here. It's called I Am Become Death. It's a space opera kind of story. And there's a whole bunch of people on a spaceship, and they've escaped the planet after a zombie virus has broken out.
Oh,
what happens is a doctor on the ship determines that it's starting to make its way through the ship as well. So the doctor has to deal with the people who are getting the zombie virus on the spaceship. And then at the end of the story, there's a huge twist that just blew my mind away. And when I say that, it's because I didn't write this one. This was a prose story written by Nicholas Prontka, and then I adapted it into comic book script form so that we could do it as one of the chapters in this book.
Okay, but it's like a good twist, right? Not like an M. Night Shyamalan.
What the twist?
I don't want to give it away.
So maybe. Might be a good twist.
It's very chilling, I can tell you that.
Okay.
I mean, it's not lame.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think it was lame. I liked it enough that I reached out to Nicholas and said, "Hey, can I make this a comic?" And he's like,
nice.
Dude, let's do it.
I think we need to talk more about Lone Shark, especially about the environment that Lone Shark is in.
And how deep he goes when he swims. And the caves, they're really dark. And
we need to delve more into this.
I see. Well, I think that if we were to do so, we would just both get kicked.
Either that or I would just leave and let y'all talk. Like, either way is fine with me, really.
I mean, is it like murky or... Hi, Shae.
Jerk. Don't make me actually leave. Oh my gosh. Yeah, thank you. I had something relative.
Watch Underwater, which is entirely like Marianas Trench level of submerged throughout the movie. She noped out immediately.
Did you nope out on Aquaman?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I'm not noped out on it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But like, there's specific ones. Like when people are like, "We should watch The Meg," I'm like, no. They're like, seriously? I'm like, no, I'm good. They're like, we should watch Deep Water. I'm like, yeah, no. Like the title alone, no.
47 meters below or down. Or
nope.
Whatever.
Nope. All of those. Every time somebody mentions anything like that, I'm like, I'm super good, actually. And they're like, oh, there's this really great show, and they've got like a little research station. I was like, oh, that's cool. And they're like, yeah, and it's like all the way underwater. I was like, and I'm done. Yep. No, I'm good. Thanks.
Well, what about the Abyss?
No.
Oh my god.
No. Just no.
Deep Star 6.
There we go. I feel better now. Needed to happen. So one of the things I was going to say is you're talking about this, sigh. Okay. You're talking about this,
OBS taking a second.
this zombie virus that's like breaking through space, and he's like, oh, now the doctor has to treat them. And I was like, you mean jettison them? I feel like jettison them is the right answer.
Blow
like,
them out in airlock? Yeah.
What happens every time is our humanity is what kills us, because we're all like, but this is my friend. It's like, no, it was your friend. It's not your friend anymore. It's a fucking zombie, and it wants to kill you.
Exactly.
Just jettison that bitch straight out of the fucking space station. Why are we talking about this? Do it.
Okay, the comic's done. The characters are created. I want them in a full suit and then a plague doctor mask.
Nice.
Terrible.
No?
Okay, so then you also have this supplemental ash can featuring, the plant menace known as Bog.
Right, the plant menace. So, visually, like we talked about when we were talking about Sparrow, visually this probably looks like Swamp Thing or Man Thing, but that's where the similarity ends. This plant being is on another planet, some aliens to his planet come to scout the planet to take over, and Bob makes it very clear that they're unwelcome and kills the entire crew. But when the word gets back to their leader that they've all been killed, he comes to the planet with a stronger force, and what happens next changes Bog's life and the life of his entire planet.
Okay. I gotta say, I do really like the look of him, because I can just imagine you land on a planet and you're like, oh, look at how like lush everything is, and oh, it's so nice, and you don't even realize like he's just laying down asleep, and you're about to step on his foot and he's about to get super pissed and be like, the fuck are you doing here? And then this arises from what you thought was this sweet little grassy knoll with some sticks. You just see this thing and you're like, oh, this is not good. Like, this is...
Shae, did I send you an advanced copy? Did you?
No, but I can tell, you can tell, but look at his eyes. He looks like somebody who's like, this is my fucking world, you asshole. And that was my ankle, and I don't appreciate it, and get the fuck out of here.
Almost word for word.
Nice. Yes. See, I wrote it. That's why I'm just... No.
So, with Siamese, there was a supplemental ashcan with Siamese as well. It was called Meanwhile. And the artist on the cover here is Jose Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
And in this book, there was a whole bunch of characters that made their debut as well. Like Kitty Hawk made her first appearance.
Ooh, I like her.
She does not involve a plane, does she?
There's no planes involved. Nope. Kitty is the nice way of saying things. And then Black Eagle and Red Hawk make their first appearance. So let's get this on camera.
Very cool.
So what I like to do, I won't talk about this one anymore, but the reason I bring that up is this supplemental ashcan that comes with Tōrō Tales also will introduce new characters, and it's another storyline that'll be going on. It's concurrent with the books in the Dojo Kun universe, and that's another thing to talk about. On the spine of both the floppy and the hardbound of Tōrō Tales, like I did with Siamese, instead of a 1, I'm going to have a 2 on the hardcover and the soft cover, and the reason for that is I'd like folks that back my projects to have a Dojo Kun Comics reading order. So even though it's not Siamese number 2, Tōrō Tales will have a number 2 on it because it's the second one on your shelf that represents Dojo Kun Comics. And the third one will be Gianna Hammer of the Angels, and that'll have a 3. I think you see the pattern.
Very interesting. You know, I've never... So that's one thing that was always kind of daunting for me, because I didn't get into comics like most people did. I didn't get into them as a kid. I got into them when I was already in my mid-20s.
Okay.
And one of the... Aside from the fact that there's literally just like a back catalog that you are never going to get through. Like, it's just, there's too much. Right. Not only trying to find a place to start, but trying to find an order to read in is so tricky. And it's, you know, the amount of times that I would binge read like Catwoman, and then I'd get to a place and I'd be like, what is this referencing? And, you know, I'd have my friends tell me like, oh, what you should have done is after this one, stopped reading that and then read these 2 Batmans and then read this Aquaman, and then and I'm like,
there were all these crossovers.
And I'm like, how do you know this? They go, well, when you read it like live as it was being released, they got released like that. And so if you're picking everything up, it just falls into place.
Or in the original version of the book, it told you, check this out next week.
Right.
But in the reprint, it does not.
No, and you have to go to like deposit like repositories or whatever on online where they're like, this is the order for you to read it in, and like that got overwhelming because I'd sit here and be like, okay, well, I'm buying these on Comixology and I've got, here's all of these Catwomans, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, oh, now you have to go buy these 4 other IPs, and I'm like, what the hell?
Well, you know,
it's ridiculous.
Both of the big 2, and perhaps some of the other ones like Dark Horse and Image, etc., they have reading orders online. The entire Marvel universe. I know you're not a big Marvel fan, but I know the entire Marvel universe has a reading order. So what I did, they've also got subsets though. I'm a big She-Hulk fan, and because I am, I looked up the She-Hulk reading order, and I have nearly every one of her appearances from 1980 all the way to current. I think I'm only missing 10.
Oh, nice.
And there's
so you have the one that made me want to punch somebody in the face. Then there's I picked up randomly because She-Hulk. She's gigantic. She's beautiful.
This was when we were comic shopping, wasn't it?
No, this is way before. This is before I ever knew you. So this is like when I very first got into comics, and I went to my first comic shop, and I was looking for She-Hulk because I was like, hi, she's gigantic and she's muscular and I'm down with that. And I got a copy, like I got an issue that looked really cool with the cover, and I was like, I'll read this one. Like, just picked one at random. And in it, there's a guy who's trying to marry her, and he doesn't like that she presents as She-Hulk as much as she does, and he wants her to use her little like wristlet thing and change to look normal.
Oh, machismo.
And she basically was like, yeah, go fuck yourself. And for the entire comic, it's her embracing, like, this is who I am and I'm awesome and fuck you for wanting me to change. And he proposes to her at the end and everything goes straight out the window and she says yes. And I put the comic down and I was like, She-Hulk, how dare you? You've betrayed us all. It was like stupid woman logic. Like, what just happened? And then I stopped reading She-Hulk for a really long time because I was very upset at her.
I am very cross with you.
Right? It's like, I don't like how you handled this, and you should respect yourself more. He seems like an asshole.
You can do better.
Exactly. Like, I was like, I need to have words with it. And I like looked at when it was printed. It was sometime in like the early 90s, and I was like, I need to go back in time and be like, woman, this is not how we do. But I don't think it'll be the same coming from like an 8-year-old. Like, she'd be like, oh, child, you know nothing.
But I'm already 6 feet tall.
Just about. Shadowbug says Shae's not a Marvel fan. My psyche is shattered. I'm sorry. I didn't. The Beavis and Butthead comics. So I think the thing with Marvel is I like more emotion in my stories, and a lot of Marvel focus so much on the action without necessarily a ton of emotional real estate or investment, whereas a lot of DC had a shit ton of emotional investment, sometimes lacked a little bit of action because you had so many brooding characters, and after a while that got a little much too. Like, I'm like, Batman, I need you to stop bringing up that your parents were killed. Like, we know.
Martha.
We know. We're sorry it happened. But
why did you say that name?
Oh, but my family. Like, I know, honey. We all read it. Cool. Okay, so you also have oh my goodness. Hello, Siamese.
Right. So this is the catch-up tier. If you didn't get Siamese the first time around, this has a second printing cover. So if you backed any of the 6 covers on the original campaign, this is a new one.
Very cool. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember seeing this cover. I feel like I would have remembered for many reasons. There's a lot of yoga going on.
Get your attention there.
A couple, yeah, just a few. Okay, and then you've got some stretch goals. Of course, we got to get this funded. That's what we need to focus on.
I'm almost reluctant to keep the stretch goals up there because first we need to get funded. So the stretch goals might be a little presumptuous for the time being.
So something that I think I've seen more people do that I actually really appreciate is instead of listing your stretch goals from the beginning, because you've got to get funded first. And especially when you're not sitting at a small funding goal, 5K is a somewhat substantial funding goal. It takes a little bit to get there. And so rather than put these are what our stretch goals are, when we clearly are going to be funded, it's sometimes a lot better to say we have stretch goals in mind that we would like to get to, but we're focused on getting funded first. Okay. And keep the stretch goals back until you hit funding. There's some people who... It might even be a
good idea to reveal them one at a time. as each
yes.
one. You know,
Mm-hmm. So after you hit funding, then you're like, okay, let's look at the 7,000. Like if we get up to that point, let's look at the 8,000 and step it out as you hit them, because I think that it keeps people are finding your campaign and they don't necessarily catch you on a stream. So they don't get to know you or your personality as well. And if you have, here's my goal, here's a little bit of what's going on in the campaign, and here's all of my stretch goals, then a lot of people look at it and go, wow, this person's really like egotistical or full of themselves, and it can be a turnoff. Especially if you don't have something that grabs them right away, that they're like, I definitely want it because of this. That can be something that can turn people away. But if you're saying like, hey, we're really focused on this, I hope that we can get to funding because I had some cool ideas for some stretch goals that I would really like to do, but I'm more focused on making sure the book gets out to you. That's a lot more humbling for people to read and going, okay, well, this person has their priorities in line. Let's get the book first. Once we get the book, okay, now that we're here, now we can look at these other things that we might do. And doing them one at a time, I don't know, I think it feels like you're more grateful for the backing that you get than if you're like, here's all of our stretch goals for up until 100K, and you're like, yeah, good luck, buddy. Like, that's not,
Yeah.
That's so fair. And so you're sitting here at 8 days left. You got 40 backers. You've got a slightly hefty goal, but so this is your 60, right? This is the full.
Yeah, this would be the end of the 60 days.
Okay.
Right? So there's a couple of things that contributed to that. Number one, I launched it on my channel, and I don't have a lot of followers just yet. So, I don't have a lot of subscribers, rather. So, Bancroft likened it to a stealth launch because it was on my channel. Number two, the lofty goal, I think some people look at that and think, I don't know if he's going to attain that. Now, Siamese got to 8,800, okay? Mm-hmm. And I fulfilled, so there's that. But this one here had a lot more artists and colorists and letterers involved, so I do need to recoup the cost if I can.
Right. So that definitely, there's a couple ways to go about it when you have a higher goal like that. It depends on how much risk you're willing to take. And I don't think that 5,000 is a impossible goal by any stretch of the imagination. What I will say, and being 100% upfront, Brian, I have heard almost nothing about this. I don't think I've seen. Yeah. I don't think I've seen a tweet. I don't.
Oh my god!
I literally have heard almost nothing about this.
I don't know why you're not seeing my tweets. I tweet 4, 5, 6 times a day about it.
Well, and that's the funny thing is I see tweets from you, but I haven't seen these ones. And what that either means is if you are tweeting out, and if you're tweeting out about your campaign, this is another big mistake that a lot of people make.
What's that?
If you have a campaign and you're tweeting out about your campaign 4, 5, 6 times a day, you're turning into white noise. People aren't listening because you're oversaturating your tweets and your interaction with.
The problem with that, though, Shae, is if you're not seeing them, that means that I'm hitting times of day that either you're not on, and I'm trying to get people who, like, for example, the folks in the UK might see them if I tweet it in the morning, whereas if I'm doing it in the evening, they're in bed. So now I'm reaching a different audience. But if you haven't seen these 4, 5, 6, it's not white noise to you. It's not enough because you're not even seeing them.
It's not that it's not enough. It's that they're not. So what makes people see tweets more, right, is when you get good interaction on them. So if you're tweeting out something, but it's not getting a lot of play, it's not hitting as many people's timelines, because what ends up hitting people's timelines are the things that are getting liked and shared out a lot, the things that are getting commented on, the things that are getting that interaction.
Because so that keeps bumping it right back to the top of your timeline
exactly
every time. So it's not about how many you send out, because
it's the quality.
Right. At a certain point, you're just going to scroll past it. It's about having an eye-catching tweet. So using really really grabby kind of images on it, and tagging people so that maybe you can boost your your retweets and stuff like that. But all of those things, you want to get it. You want that one tweet to do the work for you, not for you to have to put out 12 tweets to try to cover the same ground.
Gotcha.
So, like a perfect example, Cy and I do marketing, right? We're marketing for hire. We've done it before. And the most that we offer is each of us doing a tweet almost every day. Not even every day. So, at best, that's 2 tweets a day. The difference is we're paying attention to, so when you have friends that are trying to help boost, working out when you tweet and when you retweet, because those matter, right?
Okay.
Making sure that you're grabbing things that are actually beneficial, something that's going to really showcase your campaign in a way that your campaign page doesn't necessarily grab. You don't have to show a full page of art every time. You can show a panel.
Oh, sure.
If it's a good panel, you can show a panel. You can spark intrigue. You can ask for audience participation. Hey, so I just got in these chibis and, you know, I really love them. These are my top 3. Of these top 3, which ones would you want?
Oh, that's good.
Now you're asking for people to chime in. What's up, Tug? It's nice to see you. And so that's kind of the thing, is when you have, and just like, you know, Hicks Villain is saying, he's seen, like, he's retweeted you a couple of times and he's seen your tweets and everything, even though he doesn't have a huge following. Well, when you've got a much bigger following, when you're in several thousand people following you, or you know, if you're like Tug, you have like several 100,000 people following you,
right?
Your timeline gets very curated, because you're not going to see things that got 1 or 2 likes or 1 comment. You're going to see things that got retweeted 50 times, right? So you need to, rather than focusing on quantity, you need to focus on quality. So focus on better tweets that are encouraging that kind of interaction. Focus on things that are going to get people more excited about your book. Whether that's why a lot of people do fan art contests and things like that. Those are all things that you can throw out there to get eyes on your campaign organically. So it's not hokey. It's not beating people over the head with a giant sledgehammer saying, go back my book. Because I know creators who have done that. And I've tried having this conversation with them, and what has ended up happening is I have muted them because I got sick of seeing the same thing over and over and over, and they just kept tagging me and things. So I muted them because I was like, I don't want to keep seeing this. Like, this isn't the way to get people excited about it. This is the way to get people sick of it. This is the way to get people to say, you know, I was thinking about backing it, but good fuck. Like, and also making sure that you're interacting with people on a social level. So and that's something that you show up to a lot of chats. You're in chats and in streams. All of that stuff is great. A lot of people don't do that enough. So making sure that you continue to do that kind of thing. So you're not just an icon. So you're a person.
Well, it is a good point, because just recently, I think 2 campaigns failed to fund. And largely, I think, to your point, it's because they show up in order to show their book, and then I don't hear from them again until they got their next book.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them in the chat. I don't see them as a guest or anything until they've got a book in their hand.
And I'll tell you right now, we have a lot of people who want to come on our show, and we're starting to notice those people. The people that are very fair weather fans, let's call them. Mm-hmm. I'm now keeping a list of people that I just do not want to have back on our show, simply because of the fact that this. Of course, it's a business, but it's also a community, right?
Yes.
And if you as a creator, your only interest is putting out your own book, not interacting with people, not engaging, not even socializing. I mean, what the hell is the point?
Perfect example, Tug, right? We love Tug to death. Tug is one of the busiest people that I know in this whole freaking community.
He has a full-time job too.
He has a full-time job. He's got his own very successful channel. He's constantly streaming. He's constantly doing... You know, Tug stops by. I mean, obviously, he's here right now. But Tug will stop by and interact with people. Tug will come on channels and say, hey, if he's got the time to. And the thing is because he's still, and he interacts with people and he's active, that makes people feel like you're part of the community. I don't feel bad backing you. I don't, like, I want to see you succeed. I want to see you to do great. And, you know, with Tug, I want to see you get to 100K on every single campaign, because, you know, you've put in all this work. This is good quality work. Plus, you're a good person. And we want to see that continue on within comics. That's really what it comes down to. And while not everyone, most campaigns are not going to have that level of success, Tug's also spent a really long time building up his fan base and building up his community and finding his audience.
Yeah.
And that's, all of that has helped him. But that's also why he does what he can to try and give back to people. And when he sees campaigns that catch his attention, he retweets them out. And now you've just taken something from 4 or 5 people that maybe have seen your tweet to a couple thousand who are seeing your tweet now, and it's coming from somebody that they trust. So that's something to pay attention to.
It's a very good point.
It's hard to build. I mean, Cy and I have been doing this for 2.5 years. It's difficult to build that kind of a fan base, but if it's something that you want to do, you got to put the work in, and you got to figure out what your niche is and how you're going to get to your audience. And that's something that Red Valkyrie is still trying to find. Yeah, so Tug says, thanks. We're a customer-based movement. Creators have to recall that and make the customers want to back. Exactly. You gotta show who you are and why people should care. So
right. So someone like Tug, for example, I've only been on his chat for a few times now. I just recently discovered his channel. He may be unaware of me and or my campaign, and I think that's largely because some of us that are sort of, I'll say, new to CG. I've been around since October 2020, and you know, started getting into the chats and all that. Got some great advice from people like you, from Bancroft, from Rob Arnold, and one of the things that you all said to do was get involved in the community, not just back for back. It's not, I'm going to back your project in order for you to back mine. That's not the case. But,
right.
I only back those that I really have a lot of confidence that I'm going to like it. And you know what? Sometimes that's not the case. I get the book and I'm like, I'm not going to be back. But but it's great though to be there, to retweet for people, to have them on my show. You know, K Manifesto and I had a show throughout most of 2021. I've got my own now in 2022. And you know, just trying to build that community and try to find, like you said, my niche in this corner of CG.
Yeah, and it's a difficult thing. It really is. And I think a lot of people also focus a little bit too narrow in only looking in CG, only looking in with the people that they know. Like your friends that you have online, most of them are wildly going to back you anyway because they like you, they're your friends, and they want to support you. The hard part is breaking beyond that and finding an actual full community that wants you around, and being humble enough to ask, what am I doing wrong, and why don't people want what I'm selling? Because that really, if you can't ask the questions that suck, you're never gonna grow. Right. Because nobody is always perfect. And like, even Cy, what did you say Tug first started doing on his channel? Wasn't it like electronic reviews?
Oh, yeah, I scrolled back a while ago and he was reviewing different little electronic gadgets and stuff like that.
That was not his niche. He had that and it's okay. But then he started doing more of the stuff that he's been doing, and that's where he found an audience, and that's what he likes. Like, it's things that he's going to do, talk about already, that he already has an interest in. He doesn't have to feign, you know, the excitement or the interest in it, and then he found his audience through that. And so that's...
Recently, we had an issue in CG, and I don't want to get into it because it'll be like a whole stream if we do, but there was some schemes and scams going on, and because I'm a fraud examiner, I offered to investigate and to really dig into the finances of it and things like that. So that video, my presentation, turned out to be the one that's got the most views on my channel. And in fact, I've got a follow-up that I'll be doing. And I think that, you know, in a way, if you find a way to give back to the community, not just, in tweets and backing, which are important. But the fact that I did this fraud examination on my own time, the fact that I put together the CG guide, which has, it's like a TV guide of all the shows that, you can go on to either shill your book or as a fan if you want to see what's worth backing. We've got that on my website as well. So it's things like that I think are a good way to get back to the community, and I hope that it's appreciated.
It really is. And really quickly, and Brian, I don't want to take anything away from your time on our channel. Really quickly, I just have to point out how adorable our chat is.
Yeah, don't worry. They're gone now because I ain't putting up with this shit. I don't come into my house and then try to shit in my living room. All right, have a good one. Enjoy yourself. Go troll somewhere else. I don't got time for your shit.
Not Felicia.
Let's go over, right? Look, that's how this shit goes. We don't play. Okay, so we've got some tiers that we want to make sure that we go over. So
okay. Thank you. Yes.
Let's go over those.
All right, so the hardcover that you see here is got the special art with the art of Tōrō. It's also going to be the 88 pages, and the hardcover that I got on Siamese, I thought was I just love it. It's slightly smaller than the soft cover, which I thought was kind of neat. It's a little compact, but not like ashcan size. But you can see that it's a bit smaller. Oh yeah, and I kind of liked that that's how they did it, and I hope that they're going to do the same for this one. In fact, I'll ask that they do. Yeah. And so the hardcover is available, and there's 50 of them. That's what I wanted to say. There's 50 of them that will be printed, and no more than that. So I see 11 of them have been selected. I think Sumo Thori just recently said that they're backer number 45. Hail and thank you so much.
Fantastic.
I hope you love it. Yeah, I hope you love it. I hope I get to the funded so I get it into your hands. I'd love to see that happen. And then, so I kept the tiers pretty simple. That's the featured tier. The next one is to help me thank Deanna for all of her support, and she helped fulfill Siamese, and she allows me to come up here into this guest room and do all the streaming and all that. You've got another show? Okay, bye.
You know what? I swear, I want to start like a Wives of CG show, because they are like I want to say unsung, but not, because you guys always are talking about how much they help and everything. But seriously,
on K Manifesto's show, we did 2 of them where we featured the wives. We had Laura Chin, we had Shelley Lepresti, we had Casey Clay. Those were like so fun. Deanna was on one of those shows as well. Those were so much fun, and probably our 2 most popular videos.
Well, and I think it's because you don't have to be like in the community. You don't have to, when it comes to like a relationship, you don't have to be into everything that your significant other is into, but being supportive of them. And in something like this is something that like takes over a good chunk of your life for a good while. Yeah. And having a supportive spouse who's going to be like, not only am I going to not make you feel like garbage for doing this, I might actually even help, because if I help, then it'll be done quicker, and then I get my husband back for a while, Right. I love that. That's amazing. So I'm glad that you can buy her a fancy cup of coffee if maybe you don't have the money to back the campaign, or you do and you just decide, screw it, I also want her to have coffee.
Right. Yes.
Back again.
Yeah. So the next tier is the digital tier, which some of us have been jokingly calling the Australian tier, because shipping to Australia is so bad right now. So, some folks are picking that one. Oh, Bionic Broad's in the chat. Hey, how you doing, Jake?
He said that Siamese was a really fun book. Definitely on for Tōrō Tales. Keep them coming, Brian. I tried. Shut up, Sai. I tried. Ass.
And then, of course, there's the physical tier. So 88 pages for $25. I know that some folks are saying, 48 is reasonable for $25, but this is it's an anthology, and I really just want to get these characters into people's hands. I want to get the Dojo Kun universe sort of kick-started. Siamese was a good start. Tōrō Tales is going to be another, a bunch of my characters. I want people to be invested, because what I try to do is I try to emulate those great writers who created teams who became more than just teammates. They became friends and family as well.
Look, we got Tug saying you got to make sure the spouse is on board, because it's little sleep, lots of madness, and fun times. Yep.
That's
And
right.
then, taking over at least one room in your house to fulfill.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
At a minimum.
And that's a great problem to have, though, to be honest with you. When you've got that room full because you're sending out books, awesome.
Yeah, you just look over and you're like, that's really daunting. Look at how many people bought my book.
Yeah, right?
You're like, that's amazing. Gosh, that's so much shit to do.
When I was sending out these books, when I was sending out Siamese to South Africa, Japan, Australia, the Netherlands, Finland, it's like, this is so cool to be sending it around the world, folks. I love it.
Yeah. I'm excited. I lost my mind when I actually saw people starting to get the Kill Journal, and I was like, a story I wrote is in the back of that. Oh my gosh. And then I get to Cy, and Cy was like, will you sign my book on your story start page? And I was like, yes, oh my gosh, somebody cares. And it's so funny because it's like the smallest thing, and people who back the Kill Journal 1,000% did not. Most of them didn't even know I wrote anything in it. Like, they just started flipping through, and they're like, Shae, wait, like Shae, like Shae, like that Shae? Oh, they were like, did you write something in Kill Journal? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, cool. I was like, thank you. Did you read it? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay, it's cool, it's fine.
But
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
There you go.
Yay.
It was very good. I saw it before it got sent in, and I saw the art for it before it got finalized. It was so good.
It was fun. It's really fun to do. Yes. Oh, good book. Very much. Okay, so then you have a retailer tier. So explain this one.
This one, I'll be honest with you, nobody has purchased it yet, and I've talked to some folks about it. This is another good lesson learned in that although if you buy 10 of them, therefore one of them is free, that's not enough for the retailers. It isn't. So any of you who have campaigns, you're thinking about doing a retailer tier, you've got to do much better than just one free copy. Basically, a retailer is looking to make 50 to 60% profit. So you've got to do far better for the retailers to want to buy 10 of your books and put them on the shelf, even if they look good enough to be right there next to every other comic book on the shelves.
Yep.
So lesson learned, and hopefully I'm imparting that to some folks considering launching their campaign soon.
Well, and I think so here's another thing that you can always do, because a lot of people don't realize this. If you have a tier up like this and you realize it's just not doing well, maybe you've unintentionally outpriced yourself, like out of your market, you can always hide it and remake it. So you can just hide the tier, so it's gone.
Rather than editing the tier, you're saying hide it.
Yeah, because you can't. There's
better.
Yeah, so if you're running into that issue where you're like, oh, it's maybe not working so well, you can go that route and make it something a little bit better. But when it comes to the way that I always kind of tell people to approach retailer tiers, if you're really trying to get through to a retailer, because they're going to be looking at it as this is going to take up space. Space in a comic shop is money.
Yep.
However long it sits there is money. And you got to look at it as an investment. It's an investment in your IP, in your business. You're probably, for the first little bit, going to take a loss.
Oh, yes. You're saying it's not the LCS's investment, it's your investment by pricing it low in order to get it in their hands.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Because you're asking an LCS to take a risk on you, and to give up prime real estate that they could put anything else there to put your stuff. The other big thing about it is that you got to hit up LCS's like in person. So if you've got people in other places that go to their local comic book shops and they know that they're down for trying to help support indie comics, have them see if they can go in and actually have a conversation with them and hey, there's this book, I'm really interested in it, this is everything that it's about, is it something that you might be interested in getting a retailer tier for? Most of them are probably going to say no. But if you continue to show like this is the history of fulfillment that they have, this is the level of quality, even when you end up with those extra books, and maybe you have more books than you were anticipating, taking 10 of them and sending like 2 to this comic book shop, 2 to that comic book shop, and just seeing if any of it works. Because if they have 2 of a comic up there, it's not as bad than we bought 10 of these and they're not moving because nobody knows who they are.
Right.
But if it's, hey, we've got 1 or 2 and people are like, oh, well, what's this? Oh, maybe I'll pick it up. Maybe I'll see. And if you're willing to, if it's something that you can afford to do, to give it to them, then all they can make is profit off of it. That's a lot more incentivizing. And then it's kind of like that whole, like, the first taste is free sort of thing. And then the next time you can add to your repertoire and get them to,
is what she's saying.
Essentially, yes. There's a lot of people don't realize when it comes to marketing and branding, there is so much psychology and manipulation, not necessarily in a bad way, but like playing on people's biases and hesitations and finding ways around those. That's what 90% of marketing is. So being able to understand what are the roadblocks for LCSs in wanting to support these kinds of things. I'm sure a huge one is just the sheer number of indie comics. There are so many that they're not going to go through and take the time to try and figure it out, which ones are going to be good and which ones aren't. But if you go into a comic book shop and you show that you're dedicated and they get to know you again as a person, because it's not just about your book, it's about you. Yes. It's about people having that trust in your ability to deliver. And if you can go to an LCS and get them comfortable with you, the likelihood that they're willing to take a risk on you is a lot greater than if you're just some random dude with some random Indiegogo. And you're like, yeah, you get a retailer chair and it's only $225. And they're like, yeah, do you have any idea how much freaking Batman I could buy for $225? And Batman will move because it just says Batman on it. It could be Batman jockstrap. Someone's going to buy it. Like... seriously. So you gotta find a way to make it something exciting for them to do. And there are places, like when we went to Jimmy and Amanda's, like, so the comic book shop that Jimmy works at, there's actually a lot of indie comics up on those walls because that's something that they're involved in. They both have done mainstream. They did Harley Quinn and everything for years and years, and Red Sonja and all these different kinds. But they've got their own IPs and they're involved in the indie community. And so part of what they've done is take a little bit of that real estate and donate to helping support indie comics and indie creators. Finding places that are like that are willing to take that risk, and you're probably not going to be able to just have it up here. Like you're probably going to have to hunt them down.
Right.
Oh my gosh, Priscilla and Dave, you've got to ask for sure. Mary Boys is such a sleeper hit for me. I didn't expect anything from it, and it was amazing. It was so good. Yep.
Yeah, and they teach it in marketing too.
Yep. If you ever go for a business admin degree, you'll get a good chunk of the psychological marketing side of it. So
I have an associate's in business admin.
Yeah, go for the bachelor's, because that's where you get into the crazy shit too.
I also got an associate's in accounting and a bachelor's in finance. I think I'm done.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's totally fair. I've got an associate's, and I got it because I did stuff in the military, and that counted. So I was like, oh, that's nice. And they're like, you're going to go for a bachelor's? I'm like, we'll see. Maybe. All right. So before we wrap, is there anything else that you want to let us know about the campaign?
About the campaign, there's only a few days left. And, yes. Basically, I want to just sell myself here that if it's funded, it will be fulfilled, and pretty quickly, because like I said, it's done. All that's left now is the printing, and if we achieve any of the add-ons, the ash can, the chibi stickers, and if we get to a stretch goal, getting those produced, so those things still have to be done, but those really only take a few weeks. It's really the printing that's the sort of wild card right now, and I'm seeing a lot of people whose campaigns are beginning to fulfill because the the printing companies are finally getting their paper.
Yeah, that's been a real big hassle for a lot of creators, is finding people that have paper and that know what the hell they're doing. 'Cause there's been a lot of issue with previously thought to be good printers that are turning out to be a little less good than we maybe thought initially.
Well, in addition to having paper issues, they're also having workplace staffing shortages.
Yep, you have a lot of people who it's weird. Everything hit and people start teleworking, and then people are like, maybe I don't need to work as much as I've been working. Like all of a sudden people are quitting jobs left and right, and you're like, that's so bizarre. Bizarre. I agree. I think that we work far too much as a society anyway, and we don't spend enough time enjoying life, but it's kind of unprecedented how bad it is. So it's hurting a lot of printing companies because people are like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't need to work. It's fine. So, okay, if this doesn't succeed, because as much as I hate to talk about the doom and gloom, it is a very real possibility that this won't succeed. Are you going to relaunch?
I will relaunch, but it'll be with new strategies. Not only will the campaign look different, but I think what I'll do is perhaps smaller, fewer page count, like maybe a couple of different floppies, maybe launch it with another of my books so there's more bang for your buck. I'm going to have to, re-strategize if this doesn't succeed in its current state. Okay.
All right. Sai, do you have any other questions?
I do not. Yeah, I just don't.
Okay.
It's a weird stream. It's a weird stream. We have Tug here. We have, of course, the fun trolls, and we have wars going on in our chat.
There's all kinds of craziness happening. This is what happens.
We've got CG UK in the house. And
we do. I love Bristolian Dave. He's awesome.
And Aria Black was in earlier too.
Yeah. Oh, was he? I missed him. Yeah. Hi, Aria. Bye, Aria. I'm sorry. Yeah. I hope this succeeds. If it doesn't, I'm very eager to see what changes you decide to make in an eventual relaunch, because I don't think that the concept is bad. I don't think that it's just because it's garbage nobody wants to back it. I honestly think that you're running into more of a marketing issue and getting it out there in the right way to the right kinds of people. You're probably hitting, and this happens in Twitter all the time, when you start tweeting out and the same people engage, those are like the only people that your tweets show up in their newsfeed for, and so you end up hitting the same like 6 people over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. I've got over 2,200 followers on Twitter, but if that's what's happening, those 2,000 aren't seeing it.
Yeah, and it can sometimes break out of that. It's just it's really a matter of how you go about getting that advertisement and marketing out there. But just like everyone's saying in the chat, everyone, Past Master Dan saying he's got faith in you. You live this stuff and it shows. You're obviously very, very passionate about what you do.
Thank you.
You don't have a terrible product. You've got a proven track record. It's just, we got to get you to find your niche, and we got to get you to find a good marketing strategy, because I think that that's what has ended up kind of hampering this, which sucks, because it looks good.
Yes, like you said, a track record. Although Siamese was my first campaign, I've been publishing comics for 6 years now. I've got 12 comics before that. So I've been around a while. I've been doing this on my own dime. I just recently discovered crowdfunding. So
I don't want to know what that sound is.
The pads that are falling off have just been removed because they're pissing me off now. But yeah, well, we, like I said, we do consultation and stuff like that. So if you end up hitting a brick wall and you're just like, I just need help, let us know, and we can talk and see what we can work out.
Okay.
But Thank you. We give a lot of free advice just on these shows.
Yes.
And so, watching,
come to your shows.
Thank you. I like that. I like that, people come to Red Valkyrie because they know that we're going to do our best to give meaningful advice that is hopefully going to give you good results.
See, I know that a lot of shows ask good questions, but when I reached out to you to ask you to be on the show, I specifically asked the two of you, to be a little critical. And you know, you've given me some advice here on the stream. I hope to have some conversations with you afterward, whether it's right now or later. So yeah, I know how well you guys do at picking apart streams or praising the ones that deserve it. So yeah, that's why I wanted to come on. So I thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate that that feedback for us, because some people really appreciate it and other people think that we're assholes. So, you know, like, you never know how it's gonna
you gotta understand that Shae and CY both come to this from a position of wanting to help. Yes. So if it sounds a little harsh, it's just that they want you to do better. It's sort of like tough love. That's what they're giving you. Tough love.
Look, you're talking with two incredibly blunt people who both have served in the military. Like, sorry, kid gloves are not really my thing. Oh, hey, thank you very much, Rich Ayala, for subscribing. Like how you have a giant rainbow sheep over your face. But yeah, I'm excited. I hope that this hits funding, and if not, I'm excited to see how it comes back, because I definitely think that this is something that should. Is that our new segment? You know what? That can be what our advice streams can be called, On the Couch with CY and Shae.
There you go.
It'll be a therapist couch.
It'll be great. It could be a little clickbaity if they don't know exactly what's meant by that, but hey, it'll bring them in.
I'm okay with
couch,
it.
Couch.
I mean, wow, CY, that was dark. All right, well, thank you guys so much in the chat. We super appreciate you. Everyone who's watching this on replay, please like, share, and subscribe if you're not already. Share this out. Let's try and help Dojo Kun get to funding, because he definitely is passionate about this and delivers good quality product. I mean, if you back Siamese, you know it's a very nice book, very, you know, good printing and things like that. So make sure that you guys share this out. And thank you so much for stopping by, Brian. Thank you so much for coming on. It was wonderful.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, CY, for all of the work that you do, so I can mess with wigs and try to get cosplays to not look like garbage.
I am no stranger to messing with wigs and trying not to look like garbage for a stream. So
this is very true. Well, I'm telling you, I appreciate you, so you're allowing me to do the same. Thank you guys so much, and join us again at 8 o'clock. We have Veil Walker 2 coming on, so don't miss that one. We will see you later.
My man, OICV.
Yes.
Bye.